Welcome back to Mainichi Japan Vid, the channel that brings you Japanese related content every single day. And today we want to talk about Japanese history starting from Heian period. So if you remember, Heian was the new capital and they used to move the capital every so often. Stayed in Nara, I'm sorry, around 100 years and then went to Heian-kyo, which is now called Kyoto. So Heian is also the name of the period. But interestingly, the name didn't change after that because the capital moved. Instead, Heian became the capital from, I believe, the 600s or 700s all the way up to Meiji Restoration, which is in 1868, or maybe after that. But when they moved the capital to Tokyo. Uh, so Heian was like a capital for a long time. Now, Uh, the Heian period is like the aristocrat ruling. So you have aristocrats, and this is like the period where you have like emperors fighting each other, and but it's just like aristocrats. And then let's look at Japan. Japan was ruled by from Kyoto, which you can also call the court. I think that's how they called it in Japan, chotei. Uh, right? Which just mean the court. So in Japan, if there's like conflict with, for example, the emishi, here there are still people living here called the emishi. So like emishi versus the chotei is when I went to a museum in Japan, that's how they refer to it, the court. Now in Heian period, this is where you have the aristocrats. This is like where you get like a lot of poetry. This is people like uh, I don't know. It's not the Japan you would think of if you know a lot of like samurai kind of things. If you know, if you like samurais, this is different. This is where still the aristocrats. So there was, I think there's ranks. You have like the emperor, and then you have like ministers, right? And then you have like a bunch of like aristocrats, like levels, right? And aristocrats were also the one who were ruling, like I think depending on when this was, yeah, they should have kind of like rule whole of Japan, like from the north, although here they were like still like kind of emishi, but they kind of defeated the leaders, and then Shikoku and then Kyushu, and they would send like people, like some aristocrat to go to like be the leader. But the aristocrat didn't like going there, so sometimes they would just like leave it to other people, and like this would be like uh, interesting in the future. But yeah, this was the Heian period. They also made, if you like Chihaya Furu, there's Karuta. I believe Hyakunin issue was also in Heian period. There were a lot of cheating here. It's like it was an interesting culture. Once again, I refer Isaac Mayer's podcast. But that's the Heian period. Now, during the Heian period, it's like the ruling clan was, I believe, the Fujiwara. There were like, I think, four big families who were like the top aristocrats. But Fujiwara were the ruling one, and the emperor was kind of like just the way the Queen of England was, I guess. Maybe not so much, but it's more like ceremonial. So the emperor had like tons of like duties they have to do. The emperor was, I believe, like the. Excuse me, sorry for the interruption. There was like a problem with my sound card. Yeah. So I believe it. The emperor were, you know, they had, uh, they were like not just the head of state. Okay, this sound card is. Let me do it again. I'm sorry. I don't have enough time to edit, nor the willpower. So I'm just gonna go like this. So the emperor was not just the head of state. It was kind of, they were had many like religion related responsibilities. So they had to like go to this shrine, do this ceremony and everything, and it was like a full calendar, I believe. So they would instead, who would govern for them was the Fujiwara, especially if the emperors were young, and Fujiwara would do the actual day to day thing. I believe this is how it was. Now, so some emperor fought back by they abdicating. So they like become emperor for like 1 year, 2 years, and I'm sorry, sound card. Okay, my sound card is really not cooperating. I'm gonna uh try to not make this too long. Uh, so yeah, Fujiwara were kind of like just governing. Some emperor fought back by uh abdicating. So you would be an emperor for 1 year or 2 years, and then you would just abdicate. Uh, and oh Lord. Okay, so my voice probably really not clear right now because of the sound card. It's just having a huge issue. I'm not sure why. Yeah, like what I've done so far was like to just pause it and then play it again. Doesn't seem like it's working. Okay, I think we're fine now. If it acts up again, then I'm done. So they abdicate rule for 1 year, 2 years. So they were like ex-emperors, right? So they would have power, but they would then put their son as emperor. But as retired emperor, they would have power, and well, their son would also then abdicate. So you might have people with power would be like the Fujiwara, then you have like this retired emperor, and then this retired emperor. So it was like very you had many political power, and they were ex-emperors, so like they should be like the strongest, right? But they're more than one of the strongest one. I don't know. It was a mess. Anyway, then that's how you get the uh, Genpei War. So you get two sides who are like, I believe it's like an emperor and then his son, and they're like, oh, I don't like you, I don't like you, and so they get allies. So Fujiwara here, Fujiwara there, and then they're like these families who are military families. So they are the one, like I think in the aristocracy they're like on the lower side. I think not exactly sure, but definitely not the highest. And they're the one who would do like expedition against like rebels, like against pirates. And the two biggest one were called the Minamoto. Well, might have only been two, but like oh sorry, and Taira. And this usually were like descendant of like emperors. So according to Isaac, when an emperor have too many children, some of them they would like just give them family name because the imperial family doesn't have a family name, and then they could not access the throne, but they would like the Minamoto family, Taira family, and this like there might be different Minamoto children of this emperor, Minamoto children of this emperor, right? So they might be different. Anyway, you had the Minamoto family, Taira family. They kind of like each took their side, um, and then they fought. Bap, 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 bap. What happened? What we call the Genpei War. Gen is from the Minamoto kanji from Minamoto. Pei is from the Taira kanji. So it's Minamoto versus Taira war. And what happened was like Taira won. Taira no Kiyomori. He became like de facto ruler of Japan. He's like, oh, Emperor, marry my daughter, and then this my daughter's child should be the emperor. So he was like the grandfather to emperor or something, I think. Uh, and he was like a really brilliant dude, it seems. But and he like killed all the most of the Minamotos, especially the one who was against him, except I think three little boys, who he did not kill because rumor has it their mother like was beautiful, like begging, don't kill them, please, my lord. And he was like, oh sure, okay, uh, um, something like that. And then so these children they were like sent away, far away from the capital, so they uh, couldn't have didn't have power, but like the older one, Yoritomo, I believe, colluded. He married the daughter of the person who's like supposed to uh, keep an eye on him. So he married, and then they became have had an alliance, and they went and rebelled and he was like, "Oh, Kiyomori is an ass, right? Like, let's fight him." And many people like agreed. And like there are two other like also his younger brother, and I think his cousin, his half brother, also like who was like a genius, also came like report to the genius, and then his cousin also came, and they're like, "Oh, let's fight Kiyomori." Uh, and Kiyomori was old, so he died. Uh, and his son was nowhere near as capable as him. So we don't know. If Kiyomori lived longer, I don't know what would have happened. But his son definitely was not up to par. This Minamoto descendant were strong. They ended up like killing the Taira. They were like, "Hey, Emperor, like you're gonna make me the shogun." So shogun is kind of the general, and he's the one. I believe the a shogun might be several shoguns, but a shogun is the one who has the right to have an army, to gather an army. So, make me the shogun, said Yoritomo. Uh, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not sure. Okay, I'll just kill you and change with one of your siblings who want to make emperor. Okay, 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 he'll be the emperor, right?" So he became, no, he'll be the shogun. He didn't want to be emperor, so he became the shogun. Uh, a sword point for Saint the Emperor, and then they kill all the Taira. So this time, I mean, allegedly, all the important one were dead. And then he killed his brothers who helped him, his half brother, I believe his cousin too. So because they were also Yoritomo and they were a threat to him, so he killed everyone, and he became a shogun, and or shogun. So he's the first, not the first shogun, but a shogun used to be like a dictator in ancient Rome, where you were like, "Oh, there's a problem. We need an army leader to solve this problem, which is most likely a military problem." Okay, you become the shogun. You can gather army, because you shouldn't gather an army, right? Like everyone would feel uncomfortable. Gather an army and then defeat this problem. Defeat, defeat, defeat. Once you win, then okay, no, you're no longer shogun. Give back the power you had. You're no longer allowed to have an army. I believe it was something like that. And here he was like, "Make me the shogun, Seitai shogun." And then the next shogun is my son, and my son, and my son. And so this was like the beginning of what we call Bakufu. Bakufu means, fu is kind of like government, Baku is tent. The tent where soldier would use to sleep. I don't know what it's like, but like that's what it means. And this is because it's the government of the military. So yeah, this is like I think Myanmar, right, where like the military has power. Yeah, it's something like that. So it's kind of like a coup d'etat, kind of, but against the prime minister, because the emperor anyway didn't have power to begin with. And so that's the first Bakufu. And then instead of being in Kyoto, where if they met the emperor, they would have to bow, I believe, or something. But they didn't want to be near the emperor. They went to a place called Kamakura, which is why it's called the Kamakura Bakufu. And this is the first Bakufu, and I think I'll talk about the next Bakufu in the next video. Sorry for all the audio trouble, and see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.